Our story begins with James, a young and ambitious marine biologist, and his close friend, Sarah, a seasoned journalist. James and Sarah have dedicated their careers to exploring the unknown, and when they heard about the legend of the Merman of Robben Island, they knew they had to investigate. Determined to uncover the truth, they set off on an expedition to the island. As they arrived on Robben Island, James and Sarah were struck by the island's rugged beauty. The cliffs rose majestically from the ocean, and the waves crashed against the shore with a relentless power. They checked into a quaint guest house, and wasted no time in beginning their investigation. Their first stop was the local library, where they hoped to find historical records and accounts of merman sightings. James and Sarah spent their days poring over old newspapers and journals, speaking with locals and gathering information about the merman. Most of the islanders were skeptical, dismissing the tales as mere superstition, but a few swore they had heard the merman's song with their own ears. One evening, as James and Sarah were taking a walk along the shoreline, they heard a haunting melody carried on the breeze. The song was beautiful and sorrowful, tugging at their heartstrings. They followed the sound, their curiosity piqued. As they ventured further along the rocky shore, they saw a figure sitting on a rock, silhouetted against the moonlit water. James's breath caught in his throat. The figure was that of a man, his long hair cascading down his back, but it was his lower half that held their attention. Instead of legs, the man had a shimmering tail that glistened in the moonlight. James and Sarah's hearts pounded with excitement and fear. They had found the merman. But as they took a step closer, the man turned to look at them, and they felt a chill run down their spines. The merman's eyes were piercing and otherworldly, filled with a mixture of sorrow and anger. Before they could react, the merman slipped into the water and disappeared beneath the waves. Determined to uncover the truth behind their encounter, James and Sarah returned to their guest house and began to document their findings. They spoke with more islanders, delved into old newspapers and journals, and scoured the internet for any mention of the mysterious creature. One name kept cropping up in their research: Captain Edward Sinclair, a sailor who had lived on Robben Island many years before. According to the stories, Captain Sinclair had encountered the merman during one of his voyages, and had become obsessed with him. Some claimed he had fallen in love with the creature, while others whispered that he had angered him and brought a curse upon himself and his crew. Intrigued, James and Sarah sought out the descendants of Captain Sinclair, hoping to learn more about his encounter with the merman. They eventually found an elderly man named Robert Sinclair, who was more than willing to share his family's story. "My great-grandfather was a sailor, just like his father before him," Robert explained. "He spent his life at sea, and he loved it more than anything. But one night, something happened that changed him forever. He returned from a voyage, claiming to have seen a merman. He said he was the most beautiful creature he had ever laid eyes on, but there was something about him that filled him with dread." James and Sarah listened intently as Robert recounted the tale. "After that night, my great-grandfather was never the same. He became obsessed with finding the merman again, spending all his time and money on expeditions. He believed that the merman held the key to some great secret, but no one ever believed him. Eventually, he disappeared, and no one knows what became of him." Determined to learn more about Captain Sinclair's encounter with the merman, James and Sarah delved deeper into the sailor's journals and letters. They discovered that Captain Sinclair had recorded his experiences in great detail, describing the merman's haunting song and ethereal beauty. According to the journals, the merman had appeared to him on several occasions, each time drawing him closer to the water. In one entry, Captain Sinclair wrote about a night when he had ventured out to the shore, unable to resist the merman's call. As he approached the water, the merman had appeared before him, his eyes filled with a mixture of sorrow and anger. The merman had spoken to him, revealing that he was bound to the island by a powerful curse. The captain had vowed to help the merman break the curse, but as he delved deeper into the island's secrets, he discovered that the merman was not the only one bound by the sorcerer's spell. Many others had fallen victim to the curse, their spirits trapped in the island's waters for eternity. With the knowledge they had gained from Captain Sinclair's journals, James and Sarah set out to find the merman and learn more about his story. They returned to the rocky shore where they had first seen him, hoping to make contact once more. As they approached the shore, they heard the haunting melody once again. The song was more beautiful and eerie than they remembered, tugging at their heartstrings and filling them with a sense of dread. They followed the sound, their hearts pounding with anticipation and fear. As they approached the center of the cove, they saw the merman sitting on a rock, his tail shimmering in the moonlight. His eyes were filled with sorrow and anger, and his voice was like a haunting melody carried on the wind. "Why do you seek me again?" the merman asked, his voice filled with despair. James took a deep breath, his excitement tempered by a sense of reverence. "We want to understand," he replied. "We've heard so many stories about you, and we want to know the truth. Who are you, and why do you haunt this island?" The merman's expression softened, and he sighed. "I am both a legend and a curse. Long ago, I was cursed by a powerful sorcerer. He bound me to these waters, and I cannot leave. My song is a cry for help, but it also draws those who would do me harm. I am both a guardian and a prisoner." Determined to help the merman, James and Sarah continued to meet with him, learning more about his past and the curse that bound him. The merman revealed that the sorcerer, who had cursed him, had been driven by jealousy and greed. He had coveted the merman's beauty and power, and had sought to control him for his own gain. "Is there any way to break the curse?" Sarah asked, her heart aching for the merman's plight. The merman nodded. "There is a way, but it is dangerous. The sorcerer's spirit still lingers in these waters, and he guards the key to my freedom. To break the curse, you must confront him and retrieve the key. But be warned, he is powerful and will stop at nothing to keep me bound." James and Sarah knew that the task ahead was daunting, but they couldn't bear the thought of leaving the merman to suffer for eternity. They vowed to do whatever it took to break the curse and set the merman free. With the merman's guidance, James and Sarah set out to find the hidden cave where the sorcerer's spirit was said to reside. They followed the clues in the journals, navigating the rocky shoreline and searching for any signs of the mysterious cave. After hours of searching, they finally discovered a secluded cave, hidden from view by a curtain of ivy and overhanging cliffs. The entrance was narrow and dark, but James and Sarah could feel an eerie energy emanating from within. They steeled themselves and entered the cave, their flashlights cutting through the inky darkness. The air inside the cave was thick with an otherworldly presence, and the walls were covered in strange symbols that glowed faintly in the dim light. As they ventured deeper into the cave, the temperature dropped, and a sense of foreboding washed over them. The air inside the cave was thick with an otherworldly presence, and the walls were covered in strange symbols that glowed faintly in the dim light. As they ventured deeper into the cave, the temperature dropped, and a sense of foreboding washed over them. As they reached the heart of the cave, they were confronted by a dark and menacing figure, the spirit of the sorcerer, who had cursed the merman. The sorcerer's eyes glowed with a malevolent light, and his form was shrouded in darkness, making it difficult for James and Sarah to discern his features. "Who dares to enter my domain?" the sorcerer growled, his voice echoing through the cavern. With every ounce of courage they could muster, James and Sarah stepped forward. "We are here to free the merman from your curse," James declared, his voice steady despite the fear that gripped him. The sorcerer let out a chilling laugh. "You are foolish to think you can defeat me," he sneered. "I am eternal, and you are but mere mortals." Ignoring his taunts, James and Sarah began to recite the incantations they had learned from the merman. The sorcerer's expression darkened, and he raised his hands, sending a wave of dark energy toward them. But James and Sarah stood their ground, their voices unwavering as they continued the incantations. The air crackled with energy, and the symbols on the cave walls glowed brighter. The sorcerer let out a deafening roar, and the ground beneath them shook violently. But James and Sarah remained resolute, determined to break the curse and set the merman free. The battle between James, Sarah, and the sorcerer's spirit raged on, the cavern filled with a whirlwind of dark energy and light. The sorcerer summoned shadows to attack them, but James and Sarah fought back with the power of their incantations and their unwavering determination. As the battle reached its climax, James and Sarah felt a surge of strength and clarity. They channeled all their energy into the final incantation, their voices ringing out with power and conviction. The sorcerer's form began to waver and flicker, and he let out a final, ear-piercing scream. With a blinding flash of light, the sorcerer was banished, and the cave was plunged into silence. The oppressive atmosphere lifted, and the symbols on the walls faded. James and Sarah stood in the cavern, their hearts pounding with relief and triumph. With the sorcerer's spirit banished and the curse broken, James and Sarah made their way back to the shore, where the merman awaited them. As they emerged from the cave, the first rays of dawn began to break over the horizon, casting a golden light over the island. The merman swam to the shore, his eyes filled with gratitude and joy. "You did it," he said, his voice filled with emotion. "You broke the curse. I am free." James and Sarah smiled, their hearts swelling with pride and relief. "It wasn't easy, but we knew we had to help you," James replied. The merman's eyes sparkled with gratitude. "I cannot thank you enough for what you have done. You have given me my freedom and restored my hope." As the sun rose higher in the sky, the merman turned to face the open sea. "I can finally return to my home," he said, his voice filled with wonder. "I will never forget you, James and Sarah." With a final smile, the merman dove beneath the waves and disappeared into the depths of the ocean. James and Sarah watched him go, feeling a profound sense of fulfillment. Years passed, and James and Sarah continued their work as marine biologists and journalists, dedicating their careers to exploring the mysteries of the ocean and uncovering the truth behind legends and myths. They traveled to remote corners of the world, documenting strange occurrences and sharing their findings with the world. But no matter where they went, the memory of the Merman of Robben Island remained with them, a constant reminder of the power of courage, determination, and hope. James's and Sarah's legacy lived on through their research, inspiring future generations of scientists and storytellers to pursue their passions and shine a light on the unknown. Their story became a beloved legend, passed down through the years and captivating the hearts of all who heard it. In their later years, James and Sarah returned to Robben Island, where it all began. As they stood on the shores of the island, watching the waves crash against the rocks, they felt a deep sense of peace. The legend of the merman would live on, a testament to the enduring human spirit and the power of love and redemption. And so, the story of the Merman of Robben Island, a sailor's tale, continued to captivate and inspire, reminding all who heard it that even the most elusive legends can hold a kernel of truth. If you were captivated by the thrilling and heartwarming tale of the Merman of Robben Island, a sailor's tale, and want more engaging stories and content, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us continue to bring you stories that ignite your imagination and keep you on the edge of your seat. Thank you for being part of our storytelling community.